Sup, team? Oh, wait. What's our intro?
Hey, Sid.
Hey, Dad.
Oh, look, we're popular live. How does that work?
Popular live with 0 viewers.
Daily ranking, yeah, live goal. Here we are. Nobody's here yet. Which number am I looking at?
I don't think there are any.
I know, right? Kind of weird right now.
There's Chris. Hey, Chris. Don't leave. Chris, don't leave.
Yeah, stay. Chris, stay. Stay right now. Stay the whole time.
Should we
Yeah.
chat?
Yes, we should. Yes, we should. Today I was telling you that I did on the, this goes out tomorrow, Waking Up to Narcissism podcast today, I talked about emotional whiplash. So I want to know if you have ever had this experience. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, so, and this is a real story. Imagine Sarah, a stay-at-home mom, juggling the chaos of raising energetic kids and managing a household. Her husband, Mike, these names are not real, by the way. I mean, they're real names. Like, they're people named Sarah and Mike. But this isn't like, I'm not like outing a client or anything like that.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
Okay, so, imagine Sarah, a stay-at-home mom, juggling the chaos of raising energetic kids and managing a household. Her husband, Mike, seems supportive, but there's a twist.
Oh.
Mike is from the planet Zoltor.
What?
No,
No.
I'm kidding. No, it's not. So one week, Mike tells Sarah she's not spending enough time with the kids. So Sarah adjusts her schedule, pours her heart into playtime, crafts, bedtime stories, trying to be the mom Mike wants her to be. But then the script flips. Suddenly, Mike's upset. She's not doing enough around the house. The very projects she put on hold to be with the kids are now a problem. And it doesn't stop there. Mike often praises Sarah for being a great mom, but then out of the blue, he accuses her of resenting the kids. Why? Just because Sarah shares the day's struggles with them. So looking for a bit of empathy, maybe some support. You tracking with that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
so
like
it's,
this guy.
No, it's this concept of emotional whiplash, and I really, I had a lot of examples that people called in on, and it was sad because it's something where I don't know if you've ever been in a relationship where somebody 1 minute says you're a horrible piece of garbage, and the next minute they're like you're the greatest thing ever.
Actually, yeah. No,
Have you?
not an actual relationship, but like
Okay.
a talking stage with someone.
Yeah.
Who was like that a lot.
Okay, and I mean, first of all, the talking thing, this is where I'm going to pull my cane out of my, old man card. The talking stage is what?
Oh, I don't even, it's confused. I feel like it's different for everyone. It's like before dating. I don't even know.
Okay, so the talking, Coach Craig, not sure how I join. That is a good question. Coach, we've got Coach Craig who's going to join us tonight. He is,
Shouldn't he be able to request to join?
yeah, Coach Craig, if you can figure, that's what I want to say. If you can figure out how,
If you can figure it out.
that'd be amazing. We've got Mackie moderating. Mac, can you get Coach Craig on there? That'd be amazing, right?
Yeah, because I feel like I've seen it come up where it's like they're requesting.
Yeah,
to me,
people
but I don't
try
really
to
know.
join the live. Coach Craig's working on it. So, but this concept of emotional whiplash, though, is one where it's interesting because in emotionally immature relationships, it's like the immature person in 1 minute then just says these amazing, wonderful things about somebody, and then the next minute says horrific, negative
And
things.
that's confusing to me because it's like, how could both of those exist honestly at the same time? Like, they literally couldn't. Like, how can you love someone one day and then hate them the next day?
Absolutely, yeah. Okay, somebody look at the people watching are awesome. So there
guys are
is
awesome.
there is a host and guest button, and if I press it, then Coach Craig is going to be here somewhere. Co-host with a recommended creator to make new friends. I don't know.
You guys get to watch an old man try to use TikTok.
Embarrassing. And you're just going to
Your
sit there?
favorite content.
You're just going to sit there and watch.
Do you want me to like look it up? I don't know.
I mean, I can do it right here. Co-host with a creator. Okay. I'm going to quick send this invite to, okay. Wait, it's counting down. I think actually Coach Craig might come on here in
What is that?
7. Oh, hey, hey, what's going on? That is not Coach Craig. Hey,
So guys.
hey, thanks for joining us though. I don't know what to do. Hey,
Hi.
this is fun. Yeah.
It's fun.
Relationship questions, anything like that. I'm a real life therapist.
Oh, you are.
Yeah, I am, but I can't hear you. So that's a me thing. That's kind of funny. So Coach Craig, our guest, is not here.
So maybe.
Hi.
But you who are on with us are amazing and wonderful and in a loving way. I don't know how to. I can't. No. Yeah, I know, right? Good though. Oh, dang, they disconnected. Okay, so now we know that people can join.
We had our first guest on. That was
We did.
lovely.
Don't know who they
So
are.
nice to have you guys. You
Yeah.
said some very beautiful words.
Appreciate that. So, yeah. Invite. Now look at those people are now saying invite me. Okay, and then Coach
Eddie.
Craig's sitting there. Epic. Okay.
Hi, Eddie.
So, Coach Craig, now we know that it can be done. And then, Eddie, this guy Tony's awesome to listen to him. I like listening to this guy Eddie, right?
Yeah.
He gets it.
He gets
it. Invite Mackie to join live as a guest. Okay, I'll do that. Sure,
so
why not?
can he not join because... Can he not join unless he has 1,000?
Oh, wait, here we go. Guess. Okay, here we go. Nope, that's not it. Okay, what if we scroll through?
Should we, come back in 5 minutes?
I don't think we know how. Are we both therapists? Brandon, I'm the therapist.
I give horrible advice.
She does. She's my daughter. Yeah. But good question. So, he has to have 1,000 followers. Okay.
Wow. That's
So Coach
sad.
Craig, enjoy, sit back and
Everyone
relax.
go follow Coach Craig.
Yeah, right? No, you can join no matter what. It's only voice if you have less than 1,000. Oh. Is that why the other people that joined could not talk? So we could look at Coach Craig? Okay.
Are they saying we could hear him maybe?
I don't know. Somebody said
You have a beautiful wife.
This is my daughter. I know, right? But that's a compliment, though. But I really appreciate that. So y'all talking about relationships and stuff? Yes, we are. That is exactly what we're talking about. So here we go. So we were talking about emotional whiplash, and that leads to there's a couple questions that we had from last time that I think we could get started with tonight. And one is, how familiar are you with the trauma bond?
I've heard of. I don't know. What do you?
Yeah.
I don't know if I've been in one before.
I'm glad. That's where I was hesitating around
trauma.
that. As your dad and a therapist, I was hoping that wasn't the case. But when we're talking about this emotional whiplash in relationships, there's a concept called a trauma bond, and it's really sad because people that are in a trauma bond don't realize that they are. A lot of times they just think that this is just the way that relationships work. And the trauma bond is where the person that is delivering you the punishment is also delivering you the reward.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
that's not what I thought it was.
Well, yeah, what'd you think?
I thought it was when you meet someone and you both trauma dump at the same time together, and
okay.
then you're just kind of attached.
Yeah.
So my question was going to be, is it always a bad thing?
I see what you're saying.
I don't...
We'll talk about that, though. If two people are both trauma dumping on each other, because usually it's one person, the pathologically kind is the person that is the trauma dumpster and then takes a lot of people's trauma. But then when that person says, hey, can I share something with you? And it's like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Do you feel like you've ever been in that position?
I like both. I love dumping and being the dumpster.
Okay. I don't know how I feel about that as your father and therapist. But here, let me tell you about, I think that the intermittent reinforcement stuff is really fascinating. So are you ready for a psychological story time?
So ready?
Okay. Are you really, though?
No, I'm going to tune out in 5 seconds from now.
Okay, I'm gonna check in with you every 5 seconds and see if you're paying attention.
Don't do that.
But back in olden days, there was a psychologist named B.F. Skinner, and then he had these rats. I love talking with the rat stuff, the rat studies with you. Do you enjoy those?
Yeah,
Really?
I like this study. I wanted to explain this to my friend the other day, but
Did you really?
it was just too long.
Okay. So this one has to do with intermittent reinforcement, and we're going to get to the trauma bond in a relationship. I think that this will resonate with people, and if you are in this relationship, if you're in a relationship or you feel like this is the case, then hang on because we'll talk about what you do with that. But one of the first things is to be aware, because we often don't know what we don't know. So now we are about to make you aware of something, and then it will sometimes feel like, I don't know what to do, and that's pretty normal. So in the intermittent reinforcement, this B.F. Skinner, he carried out these studies with rats, and when the rats pressed a lever, then they were rewarded with food every time. So at first it was every single time that you pressed the lever, the rat got food. So the rats were in heaven, right? What is that thing? A galaxy. Somebody sent us a galaxy. That was cool. I don't even know what that was. I'll just stare at that thing the whole time. Forget the intermittent reinforcement. But then after the rats were given the food every time they pressed the lever, then the pattern was just random. So sometimes they would press the lever and get food, and sometimes they wouldn't. So they couldn't predict if they would get the reward or not. And the results was the rats became just absolutely obsessed with pressing the lever because they would sometimes get reinforcement or the food. So then the researchers then had no food come out when they pressed the lever. And when they did that, they thought, okay, we'll keep an eye and see how long until the rats don't press the lever ever again. But the rats went nuts, and they pressed the lever just obsessively, even to neglecting their own hygiene and other needs, and to the point where almost death. So do you see where that one's going?
We are the rats.
Yes, we are the rats. So then when you have been in a relationship where you got praise and punishment, then in essence what researchers found is that you will basically neglect your own hygiene and other needs trying to get the praise in your relationship. And that's
completely like lost themselves.
Totally. Yeah. Because, that's a good point, because then the person is trying to do whatever they can to get the person to give them praise. And when the immature narcissistic person now knows, oh, I have this power or this leverage or control, then that's not going to be a positive
Is this
experience.
related to, do you remember when you were saying that with addiction, like the best part is like in the anticipation or whatever? Do you remember when you said that?
Yeah.
I wonder if that's has something to do with this.
Yeah, so from the book Atomic Habits, then it was the dopamine dump comes in anticipation of the event. Oh, hey, so Coach Craig says tap multi-guest, tap invite, and then invite me. Here we go. Multi-guest.
Number 2.
Invite. Oh, no.
Riveting content here.
Coach Craig, you're not there, and I want you to be so bad, but Sid, as my witness, and I am an older man.
Yeah.
You seen it?
It's not showing up.
Okay. So I'm not exactly sure how. Oh wait, what if I do this? No?
While you chat, I can try to search it up.
Oh, can't disconnect, there are no guests. It was telling me I could disconnect guests. Okay, now I'm just happy clicking, and that is going to be a problem. So Coach Craig, maybe next time I don't want to give up yet, but it would be fun to get you in studio. But talking about addiction as well, the challenge with that intermittent reinforcement is that it basically, you treat it as an addiction, as somebody that's working with relationships. Because then in abusive relationships, when the abuser mixes these episodes of love with the abuse, then the victim gets so worn down and starved of affection that by the time they receive that scrap of love, it feels like heaven. And so that feeling is created by the release of dopamine. Yeah. And so then the victim associates the abuser. This is what's a trip. So the victim associates the abuser also with the reward. Like that's kind of a trip, even though the abuser caused the pain in the first place. So then we hang on to the hope that the abuser or the narcissist will, that they've changed. Now they're giving me a reward.
Yeah. And I feel like there's something to say there about, like, when the bar is that low, and that's all you're used to is the bar being that low, it's like you don't even know what you're missing out on at that point.
Yeah.
Like they're giving you just little bits and scraps, and like you deserve a full meal.
Yeah, and I saw somebody's comment there, Kelly, that said she watched her, I think it was her sister, go through that. And I think that's really hard, because when you watch the person do that, and then you try to point out to the person, to somebody you care about, that, hey, you deserve more in the relationship, then oftentimes they immediately say, okay, but no, they do nice things too. And that's hard as a therapist.
That's a conversation. What do you think that people should do when, like, it's their friend that's in a really crappy relationship? Like, will they, like, is it worth it to even try to say anything, or will they never listen to you?
I love that. It's a great, I like that so much, because I feel strongly that what one needs to do is be there and just be the person that's saying, I'm here for you, tell me more, what's that like? But then let's say that you're in a relationship like that. I would want with every bit of me to say, you need to get out of that relationship. But what happens if I tell you what to do?
That would make me want to get married, and I don't even believe in marriage.
Exactly. Okay.
Like, seriously.
But I mean, that's exactly it, though. But that's like the natural reaction. And we talked before about, I would want to do that because I would want to get rid of my discomfort. And I would be uncomfortable with the fact that you're in an unhealthy relationship and I care about you. So instead of me playing the long game and saying, hey, I'm here, tell me more about that. What's that like? Because I would eventually try to build a relationship of trust with you, so that then when you finally do feel like, I cannot do this, then you know that you've got some place to go.
Is there a line with that, though? Like, what if it's, like, actually physically abusive?
Yeah,
but
man.
then it's just hard, because then you know when it is actually physically abusive, like they're so much deeper in their brain too.
It is, because it's not like, a lot of times there's a build up there, and that's again back to the intermittent reinforcement, the trauma bond, is that it's just people start making excuses for other people. And I've been doing the couples therapy for 17 years, 18 years, and no one starts in a relationship and says that I will put up with this. It's something that starts to happen slowly over time, and you do start to make excuses for the other person, and that is part of what gets you in this trauma bond. And so you have almost like this sense of bonding with the abuser, and what's crazy is that occurs because of the abuse rather than in spite of it. And then, so when you
It's like
leave that,
Stockholm syndrome.
it is kind of,
literally.
yeah. So when you leave that kind of a relationship, then it's like, honestly, the physical body goes through withdrawal, and just like a drug addict does, which is
That's
really,
a crazy concept. Like, I've seen that happen with my friends and with myself. It's like when you break up with someone, it's literally like you are getting off of the most specific drug that you can't find anywhere else.
yeah, it is. And I appreciate you mentioning it that way, because I find that couples I'll work with, when they're going through a breakup or a divorce, or that, yeah, the person that you have processed stuff with at some point, deep emotions, maybe, I don't know, you've talked through the death of a pet, I don't know, a friend, you've had like a emotional crisis, and this is the person you've gone to, except for when they've been abusive, and now you're leaving that relationship, and you want to process it with the very person that you're breaking up with.
Yeah, that. Like, the one person that you can't see is the person that you want to see.
Yeah.
That can be hard.
Yeah, for real. If you want like the junior version of this concept too, intermittent reinforcement is like our phones, checking emails, that sort of thing. It's a trip, because when you look
Checking
down,
emails, oh man.
okay, do you not do emails?
I've not checked my email in years.
Are you serious?
That's literally a lie.
Oh, okay. But I bet, how many do you have on your phone right now that are unread?
Probably like thousands.
Thousands? That's such a funny thing. Yeah. But okay, then your notifications on your telephone, Sydney.
My telephone.
Your telephone. But that is a thing though, because then if you are the notifications, if you look down and you see a notification, it does give you that intermittent reinforcement, that tiny little dopamine.
Wow, someone said went through that 7 years ago and still sometimes want to go to that person to help process.
Crystal, thank you for sharing that. That's true. That's so real, right?
That is like important to like say, because I feel like you do even
Thank
when
you,
it's someone
3
who's hurt you, like
Yeah.
you still find yourself missing them. Like I find that with myself too, and I hate my ex, but like you just think about it sometimes, it's like natural. It's like withdrawals.
It
literally.
is, and that's why I appreciate your being open like that, Crystal or Sid or the people that I work with. I mean, very intelligent people, very people that never saw that they would be in that position, still find themselves doing the "what's wrong with me? I'm crazy."
Every time I contact my ex, I quite literally call it a relapse.
That's spot on.
So funny.
That is okay. Johnny, I have 22,000 emails I haven't read. Okay, that's kind of fun, right? Okay, so any other stuff on the intermittent reinforcement? I have a thought, but keep going.
No, I don't have a thought.
So what's a trip though is, so I've got a parenting course, a parenting program, and it is interesting because it's almost sometimes the way that we train our kids, because we say, "Oh, kids, you can come to me with anything," and then the kid comes to the parent, says like, "I wrecked the car, I got a bad grade," and then the parent loses their crap, right? Mm-hmm. And they're like, "Oh my gosh, not that!" And then, "Okay, but I'm sorry. I'm glad you came and talked to me. But okay, next time I'll keep it together, and you can come to me with anything." So we almost create the trauma bond with our kids.
Oh, that's interesting.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's also the way that sometimes like we train animals.
So do you think that that's why some people are like more prone to it in their future relationships, because maybe that was how it was with their parents?
Oh, that's a good.
Oh, I just made you say.
I
whoa.
know, and I was gonna say, should I gaslight you? Oh, I know that answer, but I wanted you to come up with that.
Say
Exactly.
that.
Well done. Yeah. I think that would be the case though.
Probably,
that really would be. Yeah. Okay, let me look over here. Okay, is there a good piece of advice that you think is the most important in a healthy relationship? Holy cow, that's a great question. I really feel like there's a multiple piece of advice. So it is honestly trying to get outside of your own ego, because we view every single thing through our own lens. So if somebody says something, we make a judgment about what they're saying, and then they have to defend themselves against a judgment that I have made. You know that one?
And a judgment's always just an assumption, really, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not like something you actually know.
No, and so it's the observation and judgment thing. So if let's say that you showed up late for this TikTok live.
Which I didn't for the
you did
first
not.
time.
I know. TikTok gave us a little ding last time and said, "Hey, you started a little bit late."
That's the only reason I was on time.
But let's just say that if you showed up late and I made an observation that you're late, and then what we do kind of naturally is then you make an immediate judgment that, man, you must not care about my time or whatever. So that's a me thing. So now all of a sudden if I say, "Hey, Sid, why were you late?" And you could have had a flat tire and ran out of gas. Actually, both
I
of those.
do have a flat tire.
Oh, and you drove here.
Yeah.
Look at me making an observation and judgment. What a joy. I'm just glad you're here, right?
Yeah.
But when we make that observation and judgment, then all of a sudden we're saying, hey, why were you late? And if you don't say anything other than, I don't care about your time, then I'm saying, see, you're not even being honest with yourself. So it's hard to have a conversation with somebody when all we're doing is butting them. It's like, well, yeah, but if you really cared, you'd be here earlier. I mean, so we really got to be curious with people that we are in a relationship with. I mean,
and like not go into conversations on the defense.
Yeah.
Because those won't go anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, because you do the content stuff, but I've got 4 pillars of a connected conversation, and the first one is to assume good intentions, that people don't wake up and think, how am I going to hurt my partner, my friends? And the second one is, I really think you can't tell somebody that I disagree with them and they're wrong, even if you disagree and you're wrong. Like, that's an internal process of like, okay, I'm noticing that I think they're wrong, but if I tell them right now, that's ridiculous, now the conversation's
They're going to shut down.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And then the third pillar is questions before comments. So if I'm assuming good intentions and I'm not telling them they're wrong, even if I think they are, then I'm going to say, hey, tell me more about that. Like, help me understand. Take me on your train of thought. Because if I just all of a sudden start saying, well, I think this about you, now that person's on the defense. And then the other thing I think is really important, my fourth pillar, is the stay present. Don't go into like a victim mindset and say, okay, well, I guess you'll never care about me and you don't care, because then I want you to go, oh no, I do care.
Exactly.
And, right?
And then you're just needing validation, and then the conversation is completely lost at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Okay. Ooh, how can stonewalling be alleviated?
What is stonewalling?
It's when somebody just like they don't say a word, they don't engage, they just or there's it's so funny because there's different versions.
Isn't that like
of
a defense mechanism? Haven't we talked about that before?
So there's and I had a couple of things that I was okay, I just saw this one coming through. Everybody thinks Tony sounds like Dean on Community. Do you know who that is?
No.
Okay, I need to go watch that. I do. Okay, so there's stonewalling. There's also gray rocking. So, and there's also the fawning. So in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So our freeze is where you just sit there.
Fight, freeze, what, bro?
So
Try again.
okay, so yeah, here, I'll take a breath. I'll be very present. So there's a stonewalling where you just don't engage with your partner, and it is kind of a defense mechanism. Sometimes we learn it in childhood where it's like, I'm going to sit this one out. If I don't say a word, then eventually mom and dad will leave. And then, and they'll say, well, okay, well, don't ever do it again. And then they leave, and then it's like, okay, that worked. So that's stonewalling.
Yeah, and that's got to come from somewhere sad, right? Because like if a child who can never shut up,
Yeah.
like if you think that your
Johnny,
only way
exactly.
out is
Yeah.
to be completely silent, that's really sad.
Yeah. And so then in that scenario, that's the stonewalling. There's gray rocking, and that's one where if you're in the middle of being gaslit or being made to feel crazy, that's one more with narcissistic relationships, and gray rocking is where you try to become as uninteresting as you can. So stonewalling is more of that defense mechanism where I'm not saying a word. Gray rocking is just like, oh yeah.
Yep.
What?
I've had someone do that to me before.
How does that feel?
Terrible. Like it makes you go crazy because
Like, what do
you
you
feel
remember
like
about
they
it?
don't care about you.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything specific, but
Okay. Yeah.
I'll tell you who it was. Just kidding.
Okay. So that's so then the question was, how can it be alleviated? It's really difficult because this is where our first dive into the differentiation pool of things that are me issues and things that are you issues. So if that person is stonewalling, I mean, quite frankly, it's a them issue.
Yeah.
I mean, it can break my heart. I can care about the person, but if that is their shutdown or their defense mechanism, then if I'm being differentiated and that makes me feel frustrated, well, why? Well, because I want to have an interaction or a connection with somebody, which
It's
is fair.
disrespectful.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like if that happened to me now,
What'd you do?
I wouldn't get upset with them. To me, it would just be very telling about their character. And I'd just be like, I don't want to be with someone who can't communicate.
Yeah, and you can have empathy for the person. Like,
Yeah.
again, that can be sad. It can break my heart. All of those things. Then that makes sense. But then if I'm sitting there saying, why don't you say anything? You need to say something. Honestly, that's only going to get me frustrated. Because if that person is a stonewaller, most likely they stonewall. That's what they do. I can't. I mean, I can't. I talk.
No, I could never, ever.
Yeah. Kenny, is this my daughter? Yes. Yeah, exactly. So that's the stonewalling. So how can it be alleviated? It's a great question, but really it's more of what does that say about the conversation or the relationship? And I'm not even saying that that's a super negative thing. That might just be their defense mechanism. So, and a lot of times what happens is people get Let's talk about our good old amygdala. Do you remember what that one is?
The fight or flight part of your brain.
Look at you.
Wow.
Yeah. So when
Put
somebody
me back in college.
That's right. I'll give you your psychology degree right now.
No, thank you.
So then when they get overwhelmed, when they're experiencing big emotions and your heart rate elevates and your cortisol levels shoot through the roof, then your brain goes into fight or flight mode and you can't access the logical part of your brain. And sometimes that's where I was saying fight, flight, freeze, which is maybe what the stonewalling would be, or fawning. And so in that scenario, then you just you freeze up. And so if you're in this amygdala hijack mode, that means your brain's kind of been flooded with cortisol, stress hormones, and you're not going to be able to reason with somebody. That's where I was kind of going with that one. Mm-hmm. So if you're trying to talk that person out of their stonewalling, then you're most likely going to get more frustrated, which probably is going to cause them to feel worse, which is probably going to keep them in that amygdala hijack. Yeah.
So in your 4 pillars of a connected conversation, is that what you're trying to avoid?
Yeah,
is
for
getting
sure. Totally.
those cortisol juices?
Yes, that is exactly what we're trying to do.
Sick.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, I really feel bad I don't know if Coach Craig tapped out, but Coach Craig, we'll get you. We got to figure that out.
I know we have to reschedule that. I don't understand what's happening with that because basically everyone else can join. You're getting so many requests from every.
Coach Craig is one of my favorite people, so I hope if he's still hearing this that we will get him back on here or come in studio, right?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would be good.
I really wanted to talk to him. That's super annoying.
Okay, how do I tell my adult daughter I don't like her boyfriend? Ooh.
Oh.
What would you say to that? You playing the role of adult daughter.
I feel like it's like we said before, if my mom told me not to date someone, I would want to get married. But this is what I'm saying. This is why it's hard. Because, as the mom, of course you want to tell your daughter.
Yeah.
So I don't know. What do you think?
I'm back to that. It becomes a me issue that I want to tell them that I don't like their boyfriend. So what is that about me that I want? And it could be from a good place. But,
yeah, totally.
But I need to do a little self-confrontation there, and I need to go in. And I also think, I know we talk about this often again, what do you do to get rid of your discomfort? And that is, sometimes we want to get rid of our discomfort immediately. And I need to go tell this person right now. I need to tell it like it is, but that will make me feel better. But what about the collateral damage I'll leave in the relationship?
Yeah, and you don't want to risk messing up your relationship with your daughter.
Yeah, I agree.
But then what do you mean? Are you just not supposed to say anything at all? Or is there just a better way to dance around the conversation?
Well, I think it goes back to that whole being curious.
Talking to her.
Yeah, if he's being pretty mean, and if you're saying, hey, tell me more about your guys' relationship, what's that like? Or it's still almost anything you're saying. Do you like when he yells at you? Is that is that kind of fun? Then that would be hard.
No, I feel like that is good advice though. Just really talk to her and just try to listen more than give her, what is that word? Try to listen more than tell her what to do.
Okay, what do you think about, so I think this is the one where, again, if everything is ultimately a me issue or it's a you issue to you, then if I feel like I want her to get rid of him, then maybe that means that I don't know him. So then if I'm going to say, I'm going to try to reach out and invite him to go do something, which, we've done as your mom and I as parents. And because then if all of a sudden he wasn't willing to go do something, I wonder, would that look different for you? Would it kind of be like, well, wow, my parents are trying to reach out? Or would you not think that was a big deal?
Now I would. I don't know about at the time. But now for sure. Yeah.
No, that's a really good point. So how do I tell my adult daughter? I really think you got to focus on the long game and go in and be curious and try to provide, I know it sounds cheesy, but provide a safe place. And one of the toughest things, like what you just said, is what you would do now, but a lot of times, again, it goes back to all of a sudden now I want to be able to have influence on my kids and their relationships. And if you haven't been building that relationship of trust, then it does not mean that you will never have that. Mm-hmm. But if all of a sudden now I want to be involved in their life, then you have to accept the fact that they're not going to go, oh my gosh, I'm willing to listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that she has to learn for her daughter has to learn for herself at the end of the day. Yeah. And a lot of times you learn through going through things. And obviously this is situational. If her boyfriend is abusive, then kick him to the curb. But if she were to really hardcore intervene on her daughter's relationship right now,
Yeah.
and like physically rip them apart, you know,
Yeah.
her daughter is probably just going to find another person, you know,
Absolutely. Yeah.
or, who could have the same problems.
Yeah.
Or maybe then what I would probably do, I would go see him in secret.
I know.
And then it would ruin the relationship with the mom. And
It would.
So, yeah, there's like,
That's
you
a
don't have
good
to
one.
dance around that for
Yeah.
sure.
Read this one. I like this is what she said. Morgan said.
Why don't you just read
There
it?
you go. I'd be like, what do you do for work? How much money you make? And if he makes a lot, we keep. That's kind of fun. Okay. Our dog got the #1 gifted badge. Thank you. Was that who gave us the galaxy thing? That was amazing. Like, that was like super cool.
You're so old, man. I almost expected you to like see if it was in front of us in real life. You're like, what is that?
How dare you? So great you guys are able to do this together. Says a lot about your relationship. That's nice. Right?
Thanks.
Yeah. Oh, wait. So would a trauma bond make you trust your friends more than your family with your secrets? I don't know if I really completely understand that. Just being honest. I want to answer that. But I feel like when somebody's in a trauma bond, they're actually very, very defensive about anybody else because they feel so like they have to defend this unhealthy relationship. So I don't know if they would be really good with either family or friends with secrets because actually now we're getting this one. Trauma bond, you're typically sequestered, you're isolated, and you're kept away from family and friends, or you're told that you better not share these things. You know what I'm saying? You ever had any friends that have been through that? Where they
Yeah.
kind of disappear and stuff?
Oh, yes. Uh-huh.
Really?
It sucked. Like, I didn't see, like, my best friend for an entire year. Because her boyfriend was so awful. Oh. But we just waited for her, and...
Did you?
Yeah, welcomed her with open arms. And she's, like, a completely different person now than she was with him. And it's like, yeah,
I like
good
that,
to
though.
see.
So kind of maybe the theme of the night is patience a little bit.
Yeah, and now that I think about it, I didn't, like, talk so much crap about her boyfriend. I mean, I definitely would give
Right.
my honest opinion when needed, but, like, I wasn't going to be, like, break up with him, because
Yeah.
I knew that she loves him in a way that I can't understand.
Totally.
So.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean, you can't understand. That's where the curiosity comes from, is I can try to understand. Hey, tell me what you like about him. You know, because maybe you'll find out that maybe, I'm not saying your friend, but somebody's home life was horrific, and to them, they like that somebody will pay attention to them. I mean, that's like a lot of what happens at times, or when somebody never felt heard or seen in their home.
And I feel like people just get comfortable too, right? Because it's like once you're with someone for so long, it's so scary, the idea of like starting over with someone else. I remember thinking that in high school, like
Really?
because I was with a guy for like 2.5 years, and then after that, I was like, I didn't even know who I was anymore.
Yes.
Like, I didn't even really know what my personality was, because I had been like just trying to do whatever he liked for so long. You know?
Oh, for sure. And it's so interesting. There's so many thoughts there. One, I love that you hit, or it breaks my heart, of course, that you hit on we will take any relationship sometimes over no relationship.
Yeah,
And
a lot of people are like
yeah,
that.
And that, like, this is the stuff where sometimes I feel like the origin of that sounds so like I'm making a big deal out of something that seems kind of silly, but it really does go all the way back to, you know, we talk about your abandonment issues. That when you're born, you cry out to your parents to clean or change a diaper, feed you. So when you express yourself, you get your needs met, and then from that day forward, you just feel like, okay, if I express myself, people will meet my needs. But then you start being able to communicate and talk and walk, and all of a sudden everybody's starting to go out on their own, and they're not there to meet your needs. So then you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be abandoned. So then you try to figure out any way that I can get my needs met. Do I have to be the people pleaser? Do I have to be, do I withdraw so that people will come rescue me? Or do I have to find myself in a relationship that is unhealthy, because that is the way that I will be acknowledged or seen. That's
Or
the way
feel safe.
Safe, which is wild, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not safe, but it means that I exist and somebody is there and I interact with them, which doesn't quite, you're not seeing that on a Valentine's Day card.
No.
Hey, you exist, and if you interact with me, then apparently I'm not dead. So how about we share like a chocolate?
Share a chocolate.
Is that? Don't know.
That's good.
Thank you. Okay, why can I never focus on anything and always procrastinate? Sydney, will you want to take this one?
I have absolutely zero advice for you, because I can never focus and I always procrastinate.
Okay. Hey, I saw this one coming through. What is your opinion on antidepressants? We put out now I'm like scared. I'm trauma bonded to you now, and I'm afraid that I'm going to say the wrong thing. We put out a video on TikTok about that today.
What are you scared of?
Did I say it right?
Are you scared you're going to sound...
Content?
Yeah, no, it's video.
We put a video, man, out on about antidepressants. And I would recommend, I would talk about it right now, but please go watch that one because I like what we talked about. We talked about the emotional baseline theory, getting the tools, antidepressants, all that sort of stuff.
Oh, yeah, that was a good TikTok.
Yeah,
I like that one.
Yeah. Back to why can I never focus on anything and always procrastinate?
Oh, we got distracted. That's funny, actually.
I feel like the last live we did a lot of talk about ADHD. Did we?
Oh, yeah, wait, should we tell him? Who's going to tell him? You have ADHD, probably.
Wait, them or me? I do, yeah.
They said, why can I never focus on anything?
Attention deficit hyperactive disorder, yeah. So we are both card-carrying members of the ADHD fan club. And I've had my ADHD diagnosis for a few years. You?
I don't know.
It's been a couple of years. But there are a couple thoughts, though, on this. One is that if it really is ADHD, then there are books and tools and treatments and medications and things that can help you at least focus more. Mm-hmm. But this is where we talk about, but you actually have to really find purpose in the things that you do, or else you can really find yourself just easily distracted over all kinds of things.
Yeah.
So I'm
What I found helped me is, well, first of all, what helped me was just like understanding ADHD and what it actually is a lot more.
Okay.
Because like, if you don't know that you have ADHD, you kind of just think that you're like lazy and, you know, and like, it's like, there's a lot of like self-deprecating thoughts that come with it.
Yeah.
So understanding that it was just a different way that my brain worked, that really helped me. And then also understanding that I literally just can't sit down and finish something. Like I always have like multiple tasks going.
For sure.
And I just like let it be like that. Like when I get bored, I start on something else and then hopefully I finish something.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I have like super good advice.
Well, I like that because I'm a big fan of first you have to normalize things, and that is and I've got, it's funny, look, the book that's over here on this screen is ADHD 2.0, which I also call the Holy Scriptures. Because it's like the book is amazing. But it talks about paradoxical tendencies. So the telltale signs of ADHD, unexplained underachievement. The person is simply not doing as well as their innate talent and brain power warrant, but there's no obvious explanation, like poor eyesight, serious physical illness. They have a wandering mind. You get frequent comments from teachers or an adult or supervisors or a spouse that your mind wanders. Trouble organizing and planning. Are any of these kind of ringing a bell?
All of them.
Okay, but here's the good stuff, though. High degree of creativity and imagination. People with ADHD at any age often possess intellectual effervescence. That's a fancy word. Yeah. But let me talk about this. Trouble with time management, tendency to procrastinate, strong will, stubbornness, refusal of help, but also generosity. So that's where you start getting into the paradoxes of ADHD. Restlessness, but also unique and active sense of humor. Trouble sharing and playing with others early on, but then a desire to make friends. And an exquisite sensitivity to criticism or rejection. Does that one resonate with you? Because you seem like a pretty confident person.
Maybe it used to.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That one's called rejection sensitive dysphoria, RSD.
Oh, actually, no. That happens. No, yeah. With like my closest friends, I always have to check up before we're hanging out. I'm like, do you still actually want to?
Yeah.
And I didn't even notice that was like why I did it until I saw a TikTok about whatever word you just said.
Or like listen to your dad or whatever.
Sure.
Because rejection sensitivity, RSD, rejection sensitive dysphoria is like, that one's a game changer because the theory, this has made me feel bad as your dad, you know. By the time you're 12, the theory is you've been told no a good 1,000 times more than most.
Hey.
No. But it isn't like no. It can be like, not now, champ. Oh, no. Oh, no. Maybe later. All that sort of thing. And so then you have this anticipatory rejection, this rejection sensitivity. So then you go into things oftentimes just like, hey, like you say, is this cool? It's kind of, you know. It's just,
you're anticipating rejection, but you don't even realize you're doing it until you know it's a thing.
Yeah.
And then, like I did not know that at all.
Well, and like the whole concept around energy or vibe or that sort of thing is then you're not going in confident either a lot of times because you're like, is this cool? Are you cool if I? And then what you end up doing a lot of times is you're handing in essence, your power over to somebody else. hey, is it cool if I do this? And sometimes that person's like, hey, you're an adult, make your own decision.
Yeah. I feel like does that have something to do with like saying sorry all the time too? I had a weird thing where I would say sorry all the time when I was
sorry.
younger.
If I can get you to laugh, like that's my greatest joy. That wasn't even a good one.
That was dumb.
Okay. So there's the two schools of thought. I mean, there's that one, but also people pleasing is one where it's often people say, "I'm so sorry," because it's like, I want you to feel better. I'm wanting to get rid of your discomfort, and I'll take it.
Yeah, no, dude, I'm such a people pleaser. That's something that I've had to like ingrain out of my brain. Because I don't know, I've always just thought like, if everyone else in the room is comfortable, then I'll be comfortable. You know what I mean?
Oh, I do.
It's like if everyone else is perfectly happy, then I could be like fine. And then it's just I don't even pay attention to my own needs at all.
Okay, you know what's crazy? So I've got the Virtual Couch podcast and an episode that went out today that's about why people lie to their therapist, but it's not like dramatic. It was funny. It's a funny article, and I just talked a lot about go to therapy and why therapy works and that sort of thing.
One of my friends lies to her therapist.
Oh, well, a lot of people do, because even people going to therapy want validation from the therapist. Is that what it
is? You just want to be validated?
Yeah.
But then you're wasting your money.
Oh, or you're paying to have a world's greatest friend.
Hey.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the funny things. But I shared in there's a quote, there's a author named Brandon Sanderson, and he's a fiction writer, but there's a part of a quote that he said that I quoted, and it says, because if the terrible thing that happened is all your fault, then there's still a chance that you'll be able to stop future terrible things from happening. Sometimes blaming yourself feels better than admitting that the fate of the world may be out of your control.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah, what does that bring up for you?
Nothing, but but like what is it? It's just like the idea that
if I can apologize and I can take ownership of it, then I can control it. And if I can control it, then that means I probably will be able to control things in the future. And that means that we're not just flying around like a speck on a rock or whatever,
Yeah.
that there's purpose and meaning, right?
But there isn't purpose in it.
Okay.
Because we are just floating around on a rock.
Next question. Oh, procrastination. I have a funny concept about that I am owning that I kind of make this up a little bit. So procrastination, people with ADHD procrastinate and then they come through at the last minute. Like, do you do that pretty well?
That was my entire high school and middle school experience.
Same. I thought it was everybody's.
Me too.
Okay.
Like, I literally thought everyone did that. I did not understand.
But, people study and they remember, all that kind of stuff.
No, I know, I'm sure you remember this, but I feel like there were like 17 projects that I would start at like 11 p.m. the night before, like full poster board projects.
Yeah, I do remember that.
And then I'd be up all night long, and I did not understand why I was doing
So
that.
here's my theory, and this is one that I am making up, because I think in my more emotionally immature days might have said, research shows, and I'm like, there's probably research out there, but I really believe. So the dopamine is a hyperfixation chemical, like the feel-good chemical, focus chemical, and so people with ADHD are dopamine deficient. So if you procrastinate and you hit that deadline, then all of a sudden the dopamine is flowing, and so then that's why we always come through. And then so I feel like we almost create our own drug of choice. We have to procrastinate till the end. So my theory, and I want your honest opinion. So this is that thing where I say that if your deadline is Friday at 5 p.m., and if you tell yourself, all right, Tuesday night I'm going to sit down, I'm going to work on it, whatever it is, are you really going to?
No.
No, you're going to check your phone and like watch stuff and play games and whatever, and then you're going to beat yourself up and you're going to say, man, okay, but tomorrow, Wednesday, I'm on it. And then you wake up the next day and it's like, okay, but I really don't want to. Anyway, so then now you've just made yourself feel bad Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday, 3 o'clock hits, your deadline's 5, and then you do it. And that dopamine flows and you finish. So my theory is that on Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and Thursday night, just do things that matter to you. Raise that emotional baseline, feel better about yourself, and then you'll still do it at 3 o'clock on Friday. What do you think about that one?
Sick.
Yeah. Okay.
So what do you think? So is your brain basically just trying to trick itself into getting more dopamine?
Oh,
is that what it's doing?
I think so. I mean, that's why I think that you're just, so there's almost an acceptance that with ADHD or with procrastination that I'm accepting the fact that I'm going to do it at the end. Because it's not like people, I mean, I've tried many times to do the old, I'm going to pretend the deadline's on Wednesday. And my brain's like, really? You think you're going to buy that one? Like, that's silly. I mean, I think my brain's going to rebel and say, I'm not even going to try now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one thing that kind of helps me is not planning on completing the task.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
Like, I can't, because all the time I want to be like, okay, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to do this. But with ADHD, you seriously cannot do that. Like,
Yeah.
like, I'll blink and I'm outside somehow.
Okay.
Like, literally. But I feel like if there's an acceptance that, like, I'm just going to open my laptop and, like, do one edit, and then, like, sometimes, if you're lucky, that, like, thing will kick in. Isn't there something with ADHD where you
you hyper-focus.
sometimes you can
Yes.
hyper-focus?
That's, yes.
One of those days, you know, you're gonna maybe hyper-focus and it'll be okay. But I feel like just removing the guilt from it helps me a lot.
I think you're so spot on.
I felt so guilty, like, growing up about everything all the time. And, like, that is just, like, such a negative, unproductive feeling. I would not wish that on anyone. And it's self-created, so it's like...
Well, that is like gold, because that acceptance, so in the world of acceptance and commitment therapy, my favorite therapy model, we talk about acceptance, and acceptance doesn't mean apathy. Acceptance doesn't mean that you're a horrible person and you give up. Acceptance means to take in without defense in its entirety. So if I accept the fact that I'm not going to even finish it, then it's like, but I'll do it, and then, oh yeah, I'm not going to finish it. But if I'm trying to avoid, I've got to finish it, then I'm going to be beating myself up about whatever, you know, the project itself. So I'm accepting that I'm going to start it. I might not even finish it. Mm-hmm. I like that, Sid. That's good. And then what's crazy about ADHD is that, that's one of those paradoxical parts of ADHD is you can be completely distracted, and then you can have intense focus. And then sometimes it will shift.
I don't find myself having intense focus very often.
Don't you?
Except for if I'm, like, playing a video game.
Okay, well, there you go. Maybe you need to be a professional gamer.
No, good.
You're good? Okay. What I think is interesting, though, about what we're learning more about ADHD is that in this book, ADHD 2.0, I think there's a part that talks about if you are telling your kid to go upstairs and clean their room, and first of all, if they don't want to clean their room, then on their way up to clean their room, they're going to get distracted by 10 other things, and then they're not going to end up cleaning the room, and then you're going to get mad at them, and then the rejection sensitivity is going to kick in, and then, you know, so in other words, you know, you kind of almost need to go help them clean their room, which I think we did a time or two with you.
I don't know.
Don't remember that? Okay, let me get back to the questions. I think we're going to have to go rapid fire here. Let's see. I'm married now and still defend my ex. Sometimes it's crazy. Okay, yeah, back to that intermittent reinforcement or trauma bond. I appreciate you sharing that. I can't find a therapist I like. I would really, actually, the podcast I did today on the Virtual Couch podcast, I addressed that. And if you can't find a therapist you like, nothing wrong with you. There are so many different types of therapists. There are some therapists that are...
I didn't even think about that. It's like dating.
Oh, okay. Tell me about it.
Like, that sucks. Like, if you commit all of your time to an appointment with someone and then you just don't vibe with them, has that happened to you before? Like, will you have, like, sometimes...
I feel so bad saying that, but I mean, I haven't had that much, or maybe they ghost me. Maybe that's what the kids do these days, right? But I love being a therapist. I enjoy it, and I find that when people in my intake forms, I often say, "What's your previous experience with therapy, and what are things that you've liked or maybe not liked?" And I'll often find that people have just not felt they haven't clicked with their therapist because maybe they feel like their therapist is kind of boring, kind of reserved, and I'm not that. So, and I think a lot of people that I work with have heard my podcast or whatever, so they kind of know what they're getting. Yeah.
Well, what is your advice though?
Yeah. So the advice is that you, I really think a therapist is a pretty long-term investment. I wish everybody had like a therapist on retainer, because there are going to be times where you don't.
On a retainer?
Do you know what that means?
It's like, mouth retainer?
Exactly. I think every person should have a therapist on their mouth retainer that they put in their mouth.
This feels like sarcasm.
It is sarcasm. Well done. Okay. Now on retainer, so in the legal world, if you're going to have an attorney, you put them on retainer, so you pay them a certain amount, and then they're there if you need them. And so I really feel like there are things like called brief solution focused therapy, where you get in and out and you work on a specific thing. But I really feel like the more that you get to build trust and rapport with a therapist, then there are going to be times where you really need them, and there might be times where you don't. But then it's hard, because if somebody sees a therapist for a while and they kind of like them, maybe don't, and they go away for a while, and then something big happens, and then they jump back in, and they feel like the person probably doesn't remember them, and so they have to catch up on their story. And that's where I think it can feel overwhelming to even want to go start with a new therapist. But so therapists shop, and you really do want to find there is some research that says that the relationship you have with your therapist is more important even than the type of therapy that the therapist does. Because ultimately, you just have to feel safe and be able to open up. Like we talked about that on. Did we talk about that? No. Did we on the last White Therapy? Yeah,
we did.
Yeah, well, it's one of the Ticking Talk videos that you did.
Ticking Talk.
It's like trying to be really smart. But it's like why talk therapy works. Do you remember that one?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because it really is. If you just keep things bouncing around in your head, they're typically going to go to the negative. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people probably are scared that their therapist is judging them. Mm. But I feel like that's something you can probably, like, I'm sure you've heard everything.
Everything.
Right?
Every single thing.
Like everything.
10 times.
And it's just like, don't be afraid. Like,
no. And that's one where if your therapist if you do feel like they are, and I know this is hard, but if you see somebody, you know, if you see a therapist make a face or whatever, you can say, ooh, what was that about? But I know that can be hard if you're just coming in to see a therapist. But you really want to find a therapist that you vibe with, and you can break up with a therapist, no problem. And you don't really owe them anything other than whatever you pay them for that session. I mean, and I really mean that because I think sometimes people can feel intimidated by going to a different therapist. And yeah, in a perfect world, you would say, hey, maybe not a right vibe, but I get the fact that could be really hard and vulnerable to do.
Yeah, and it's probably really discouraging. So just don't get discouraged if like like you've gone through 3 therapists and you still don't find one you like. Like there's good ones out there.
Yeah, for sure. I like that. Hey, top 3 pieces of advice you wish your daughter would follow.
Read me to filth, Tony.
I don't even know what to say. You're awesome, Sid, and do everything perfect all the time.
Oh, wait, we can talk about this now.
Okay.
I haven't vaped I literally don't know how long it's been, but since last time we recorded.
Okay, and that was day what?
I don't
you were
know
at
what
48
that was
hours,
either.
like, because we were talking about your anger was supposedly at its peak.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, that's
Sydney
one
has quit
thing.
nicotine.
One thing that's helping me is not knowing what day I'm on because for some reason that makes it harder. But I actually have made it.
Okay, tell
like
me about
over a week.
Okay, and tell me what that's like, because I had one of the first questions I had tonight was somebody had said, "Can you talk more about being worried if I'll always be angry when coming off of nicotine?"
Okay. What I have to say to that?
Yeah.
I was so angry 20 minutes ago when we started this.
I could tell. Remember? Yeah. I was like, "Hey, is everything okay, pal?" You're like, "I'm fine."
And it went away. I feel better now.
Yeah.
But like 20 minutes ago, I was definitely like, I want to freaking vape so bad, and I'm gonna kill someone. But and not that. But
yeah, right.
But now I feel better. It's like in the moment, the cravings are so like intense that you feel like they're gonna be for the rest of your life. You know?
Yeah. Well, and I think that's Okay, talk about that. So, what do you do to get through those moments?
Sit with my discomfort.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what I'm saying. But how? I mean, is it just something where you just had to get through it, or did you try to sit there and be mindful and breathe and be present? Did you go pet the dog? Did you?
The dogs help.
It does, huh?
I will be so transparent though and say that I've still been using like the Zen things. Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
That's been helping me a lot.
And that's called harm reduction. Do you know that?
No.
Yeah, the harm reduction model is a way to step down from any addictive substance. So it's like if somebody was doing hardcore drugs, they step down to lower core, medium core, but it's like the harm reduction model is where you're trying to reduce the harm of whatever it is that you're doing. Even if somebody's trying to get off of caffeine, then it would be go from like energy drink to like regular soda to then have that sort of thing.
It is kind of scary though because I still am aware that like I'm still addicted to nicotine, you know? Mm-hmm. I'm not vaping, but like I still am. So like that part's kind of hard. Like I'm nervous about that, but I'm going to try to stop. I'm glad that my lungs are at least getting a break right now. Okay,
and do you feel that?
Yes.
Do you really? Okay, I always wondered that. Okay.
Breath. Like, I literally didn't even know that I couldn't breathe.
Really?
Yeah, because I was vaping for like a long time, like maybe like 5 years or something.
Okay.
And it's really nice not like thinking about it every second too.
Okay, I'm like super glad to hear that.
No, it is, yeah.
Because sometimes I wonder if because you read this stuff, the stuff we were reading at the last slide that said that within 72 hours your lungs are starting to heal and be better, and that and I always wonder, what would that even feel like? Like, do you feel like if you went on a run or something right now, that would be better?
I don't want to go on a run.
Okay.
But I can breathe
have a
again.
catch? Yeah.
It literally I feel like I had one lung before and now I have two.
Okay. Oh, that is good. Yeah. I'm very glad to hear that.
Should we What do you want to talk about though? Like more about addiction, or are there other questions?
Yeah. So okay, but I mean, I appreciate you bringing that up because like that is difficult. I think
I
quitting.
know. I feel like I'm literally lying too, and I'm actually not.
What do you mean? Oh, that like you're really secretly.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But for once, I'm not. For always.
I see what you did there. Okay, somebody did say, let's see, I feel like I stonewall because I don't want to make things worse. Which, oh wait, we never did the top 3 pieces of advice I wish that you would follow.
Yeah. What do you want me to do?
Be nice.
Do you think I'm mean?
No, I don't even know. I feel
Sometimes,
like
actually,
what would I
yeah.
even say? I mean, honestly, it would be like these cheesy things, but I think you're doing it. It is like find the thing that you really enjoy and do it. Do you feel like you're trying to do that? Okay. What does that mean to you?
I don't know right now. I like talking to people though.
Yeah.
It's a vibe.
Yeah. But I mean, like feeling when you first started going to college, what was that like?
Horrible.
Okay.
I thought I was going to be an ultrasound technician.
Yeah.
All of your babies would have died in the most respectful way possible.
Okay. That's pretty funny.
I'm so glad I didn't do that. And I was totally just doing that because I don't think that you guys pushed it on me like too hard, but it was 100% just to get validation from you guys.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well, and it is, I appreciate that. And it is, so these are some of the things, yeah, that it's like, I feel like that's difficult because even if a parent is saying, hey, you go do whatever you want to do, I appreciate what you're saying because sometimes it's like, right, but I know you want me to go to college and become a, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Even though we were saying, no, we don't. We really don't. Hey, there's a heart on your head. Did you see that?
No.
That was really cool.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. That was nice. Slicks in a heart. And it went right on your head.
I have to pee so bad. Can I go pee?
Yes. Yeah, you exactly. Okay. Then what? Okay, I'll answer a couple of the other ones real quick while you're. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So Sydney will be very quick. Let me talk about the fawning reaction because we talked about. Oh wait, I should talk about what's the advice? Because she's kind of doing it. She's kind of being her own person and doing her own thing. And I know that she and I have talked a lot about this concept called socially compliant goals. And that's when you do something because you think that you're supposed to, or you'll let somebody else down. So I find that as a therapist, as a dad, as a human being, that so often we're doing things because we think that we're supposed to. Like if I don't do this, my parents are going to be disappointed, or somebody's going to be, they're not going to be happy with me. So that's called a socially compliant goal. And when you do socially compliant goals or try to live your life by those, then your motivation's pretty weak because it really isn't about who you are or what matters to you. And when you're going after socially compliant goals, then you already don't want to do the thing that you think you're supposed to do. So then we typically turn to this thing called experiential avoidance, which means that you're going to do anything other than the stuff that you don't want to do. And that's where I feel like people often then do turn to like the phones and that sort of thing because they don't even want to be doing the thing that they don't want to do. So they're going to try to do something else. And then that's where I'll get to the thing I don't even really want to do later. So this is why I think it's so important to figure out what you really do want to do and what matters to you. And I actually have, if you reach out, contact@tonyoverbay.com, I have a values worksheet that I talk about on my podcast a lot, the Virtual Couch podcast. And I can send that out to you because it really is a worksheet that helps you figure out what your core values are. And that's the place to start. Because if you figure out that things that matter to you, maybe your curiosity or knowledge or adventure, then you start finding out what are some value-based goals that you can do. And so when you find yourself bored or getting down on yourself or beating yourself up, then you turn to some value-based goal. That's what you want to do because sitting there and overthinking and ruminating and worrying isn't really going to get you very far because you will find yourself just worrying and creating all kinds of scenarios that most likely are never going to happen. So when you notice that you're doing that, then it's really important to just do something. And then I said to her, I got to have one ready for that. I was starting to talk crap. I was doing the whole do the things that you want to do and socially compliant goals and experiential avoidance and all that kind of stuff. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Somebody said, what's the fawning reaction? I did pull that up on a screen behind here, but because it was previously known as appeasement or people pleasing. So it is what we talked about. The term fawning was coined by psychotherapist Pete Walker in his 2013 book, Complex PTSD. So people pleasing are doing things for others to gain their approval or to make others like you.
Why do we do that?
I mean, so this is where when people get in that's why it's included in the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response. So I think it really is a defense mechanism or to get rid of our discomfort. I know I say that over and over again, but if I fight, that one's easy. Like I'm going to get rid of some discomfort now with these bad boys, right? And then flight, I'm taking off. Freeze, I'm stonewalling. Maybe the predator will pass by. Or fawn is, hey, what can I get you, Mr. Saber-tooth Tiger? Like, can I
You're
get you anything?
removing your discomfort by removing their discomfort, which is like not actually removing your discomfort,
Yeah,
right? You're
yeah,
just
yeah.
like ignoring your own needs.
Yeah, exactly. And somebody chiming in there that did it my whole childhood and on. And that's like really, yeah, she like, that's when so much of that happens is in our childhood. It becomes a childhood defense mechanism. That's a big old heart with an arrow.
Thanks.
Canyon Drake. I know Canyon. Just got the #2 gifter badge. Thank you, Canyon. What were we just talking about? There's ADHD for you.
I have no idea
Oh,
what
come
we
on.
were
It
talking
was a
about.
good one. We were talking
People
about
pleasing?
fawning, people pleasing. Oh, childhood. So the hope is that we get to this place of a secure attachment with your kid. If your kid is continually trying to figure out, ooh, how are mom and dad? Like, what's the mood in the house? They're not going to ever really feel like that sense of security or safety, and they can't just do and be and come in and be a kid because they're worried that they're going to do it wrong, whatever it is. Yeah.
And then they'll find themselves doing that later in their lives.
Totally.
All the time without
Yeah.
even realizing it.
I saw the thing that said, what can I get you, Mr. Saber-tooth Tiger? That made me laugh. Man, ADHD is flowing strong tonight, my friend. Okay, how do you know when you should see a therapist? Honestly, go find my Virtual Couch podcast episode today, and I talk about that because I really believe that everyone could use one, and I talk about that there. Sid's eyes. You have them?
Yeah.
They're very pretty.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm her
So
dad.
are yours.
Okay.
I'm serious.
Oh,
You have
okay,
pretty
all right,
blue eyes.
okay, all right. Let's see. Her resting face is so gorgeous. Can gaslighting be subconscious? Wait, I just passed by that one. Is that
Wait,
nice? Your resting face is gorgeous.
Thanks.
And then they say you're insane.
One time someone told me I had whoa, I forgot
Easy.
English. One time someone told me I have a resting dumb face, so that means a lot to me.
Okay, so thank you for a person saying resting gorgeous face. But then they said it's insane, not you're insane.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Wait, so what was the question? Can gaslighting be
Subconscious, yeah. And I'm going to pull this up. I did an episode a long time ago on 4 different types of gaslighting. I think this is really good.
Can you start with a definition on gaslighting? Because I feel like it's been watered down.
Yeah, it does get, So it is a form of psychological and emotional abuse where victims are made to question themselves and their grasp of reality. And so it is where somebody, if you are pretty confident and you're going into a conversation and you come out of that going, I feel crazy. Like, you know, I had somebody earlier today and it was a really good, it's just the stuff where, you know, the immature person was saying, you know, the kids all think you're crazy too, to his spouse. But then he's like, but don't ever say it to the kids. Like, that would be really bad. But they think you are absolutely losing your mind, you know? And they never said that. So then the spouse is left to feel crazy. But here's what I think is really interesting is there are types of gaslighting, 5 different types. So coercive gaslighting is the manipulation of somebody's reality to persuade them to do something by using threats or force. So that's like emotional abuse, verbal abuse, physical abuse, financial abuse. So some examples like your partner convinces you that you have a medical problem because they don't think you are intimate enough, but, you know, when they're really struggling with like a sex addiction. Or I know, right?
That's awful.
So they
Has that
put it out
happened?
on you.
Have you heard of that before?
Yeah. Like coercion's a really bad one. Or like here's the one where, you know, your parent insists that you don't spend enough time with them, so they withdraw their affection every time you choose to spend time with somebody else. That's the coercion. Then there's outright lying. A gaslighter will use lying to establish power and control by positioning their grasp on reality as superior to the victim.
This is, I think, what I experienced a lot in high school was just like, I didn't say that.
Yeah,
And it's like,
for sure.
why would I make that up?
Yeah.
You know?
No,
and like
for
the
real,
guy would
Sid.
just be like, no, that didn't happen. And then there's like that Stonewall.
Yeah.
And then it just makes you feel crazy.
Okay, yeah. Oh, and Kelly, thank you for subscribing to some podcasts. But yeah, so they lie, like the examples in this one were wild. They lie about not attending an event even though you remember them being there. They like, I wasn't there. And like, I'd literally have a picture of you being there. Mm-hmm. They claim they never took money out of your mutual savings account. That was a little specific.
What happened to this guy?
I know, right? Yeah. This one's a classic one. A coworker telling you they never received an email from you. You know, so do you ever do the one where it's like, oh, I never got your text, but then later they say something that was in the text?
Oh.
Ooh. Yeah, I got an example.
That happened to you?
Oh,
Story
yeah.
time.
No, I can't.
Oh, never mind.
Okay, no, but that's one that, yeah, somebody that I, you know, they're like, I don't remember getting your text. And then all of a sudden later they mentioned something that was in the text. I'm like, wait a minute. So I told them and they were like, oh my gosh, you're right. No, they didn't. No. Okay, so we got the 2 types, coercion and outright lying. Scapegoating, that's the deflection of blame away from the responsible party and onto another person. So, this one I do run into this one. Well, I never would have cheated if you would have been more attentive to me. So now it's a you problem, right? What was I supposed to do?
Terrible.
Well, yeah, how about like not do that? Would have been nice.
Keep in your pants, maybe. I censored myself. That was
Thank you. I'm very impressed. Yeah. So I work with a heavy, emotionally immature population, not heavy weight wise, but a large percentage of that. And
thanks for clarifying,
sure,
Tony.
Yeah. And what's sad is that in most families there is a scapegoat of an entire family. And it's almost weird. Like in a narcissistic family system, there's typically a scapegoat child, and that is because then it's like, then see, we're better than that person. And then
am I the scapegoat child?
Whoa.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I wonder if... So there's typically a golden child and a scapegoat.
Oh, I would like to be the golden child.
Okay, IW golden child.
Thanks,
Who would you like to be the scapegoat?
That can be Jake.
Okay. Okay. All right. But here's the ones that... There's a couple... I would say there's two more. And if we're going to get to one that can be subconscious, I think it's going to be the fifth one. So the fourth one is reality questioning. And so that manipulation are what people think of when they typically hear the word gaslighting. And that's where the term was coined. There was a movie called Gaslight, and it featured a guy who manipulated his wife's reality to make her seem crazy in order to get her committed to a psychiatric facility, all because he wanted her expensive jewels. And a gaslight, this was back in the day where it was literal gas lamps on the wall. So it was like I think it was every night he would come home and he would just turn the gas light down a little bit. And she'd say, "Is it dark?" And he was like, "No."
Wait, is that where that like comes from?
Yeah, from the movie Gaslighting. Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So examples of that, a parent insists that it didn't happen that way and you're remembering things incorrectly when you share a difficult or traumatic childhood memory. That's when I run into, unfortunately, quite a bit.
What was it? I wasn't listening. Sorry, point at it.
But it's like I'll have maybe like in a family setting where somebody's like, well, if you would have protected me from this person, and then the parent's like, you know what, you're going a little overboard.
And that's just them not being able to accept responsibility for their own actions, right?
Yeah, it's tough. It really is. Yeah. A partner insists they told you about a crucial event you need to attend together, even though you had plans for something else that day. And I mean, that stuff is stuff that happens. And this is where it gets tough because people do throw around the gaslighting term a lot, but there are times where people do actually just forget things, like our memory is.
Oh, yeah, I could tell you about that.
Okay. So, and that's what's hard though, because if you're seeing a lot of emotional inconsistency in relationships, then it can be really difficult to not think that somebody is gaslighting you. So, but typically if somebody is willing to take ownership of things, then that means they have that capability. Because there are people that never say sorry, that never take ownership. Well, it wasn't my fault, or I wouldn't have done it if it wouldn't have been for you, or that sort of thing. So if there was one that happened subconsciously, I'd say it would be trivializing. That's also considered minimizing or dismissing information. So a parent tells you that you're overreacting. You're like, hey, it's not that serious. Like, don't worry about it so much. Because that's one where I think it just can happen just reflexively. Because even like a good parent sometimes just wants their kid to feel better. It's like, hey, it's not a big deal. It's okay. They didn't mean it. And in reality, what you're doing is you're telling your kid, hey, your feelings don't matter and mine are more important. And I don't like the way you're acting.
You're telling them their feelings are wrong.
Yeah.
And like we talk about that all the time. Like, you do not know how anyone else feels but yourself. And the idea that you do is so funny.
It really is, right? So if I said to you, Sid, I know exactly how you feel, there's nothing that I would ever know exactly how you feel on, because I am not you.
Literally.
Yeah.
Like, you could guess.
I could.
That I really want to hit a vape right now.
See, I don't even know what that's like. I know exactly how you're feeling because I have not eaten this waffle yet. Right? So kind of the same thing if you think about it. 54-year-old man, 20-something-year-old daughter wanting to hit the vape, as the kids say. I mean, wanting to eat a...
Hearing you say hit the vape is funny.
Is that what you say?
Yeah.
See? I'm getting better. Okay. Are we in a relationship? Yes, she is my daughter. If my parents tried to say something to my significant other, I'd feel disrespectful. Oh, that's a good, yeah. If my parents tried to say something to my significant other, I'd feel disrespectful and upset. I can see that too. Sometimes I feel like you almost have to have, again, almost like earned or built rapport in a relationship in order to be able to even bring gentle awareness of something. Because I go back to another theme for the night, getting rid of our discomfort. If I'm angry and I want to make sure somebody knows it, that's a me thing. But if I'm angry and I notice that and I'm angry about what somebody's doing, then what is it about what they're doing that makes me angry? And then can I go in there with curiosity? But then if it's something really bad. Somebody said, what's in Sydney's hair? People want to know.
The charms?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe these. They're just charms. Like these ones are from Amazon. I think you just look up like crystal hairpiece. And then the rest are just from like Joann's and like Michael's and stuff.
Okay, that's cool. That was people want to know in all capitals.
And I just like get pliers. And I just
what do you mean?
like open up the little keychain thing. Get your dirty hands off.
I don't.
And then it's really cute. I could do it for you sometime.
Okay. I feel like if I would have said something like that to you, you'd be like, okay, dad joke, right? Right?
You could say that. You could do that to me too. Okay. I'm just being ageist. Just kidding.
Okay.
I'm
somebody
kidding.
said, I'm so grateful for my therapist, truly life-changing. Thanks for your passion. Oh, that's nice. I appreciate it. It's good to find a passion. Okay, said, what have you been doing to help you quit vaping? And you're very brave to talk about this.
Yeah. I don't know like specific things. Music has been helping.
Has it? In what way?
It's like, it feels hard to even say that anything is helping because it kind of just sucks, honestly.
Okay, but that's honestly, I appreciate that because
it
people think that, we're wired to get rid of our discomfort. And when somebody has like even a low key addiction to something and they feel uncomfortable, the brain is trying to do everything it can to get you to act out or relapse. Yeah.
I read something about that. Like your body will literally give you like phantom pains.
Oh, for sure.
To like try to get you to hit the vape again.
Yeah, for real. If you look at it that way, so I run a men's addiction recovery group, and we talk often about that the amazing, crazy things that your brain will do to try to get its supply, and it will do you're going to be doing it anyway, and so do you want to let's just go ahead and do it now. It'll be the last time though. And then once you do it, then it's like, oh man, now I beat myself up and now I feel worse. And so then, you feel bad already. So you might as well just today's shot. Somebody says my name's supposed to be the virtual coach because it says couch. It's the virtual couch, kind of a play on therapy there. So, okay, he's going so fast with these concepts, it's hard to keep up and make sense. That is true. That is very correct. I get so excited about all these things. But we are putting this, you say it.
This will be re-uploaded on the Virtual Couch YouTube channel, which you guys should check out because nobody does.
I know, right? It's kind of funny. And I'm okay with that. Am I, though?
It sounds like you're not.
Well, it's funny. We've talked about this. My podcasts have, millions of downloads, and my YouTube channel, not so much. So somebody can put out a dog doing something. It's got millions of views. I got one, hey, here's how you save your relationship. It's like 50, But I'm not bitter.
But yeah, this will be... He's bitter. This will be uploaded the full version on there, so if you miss out on anything, you can see us being so embarrassing at the beginning of this.
Bus moves, went and subscribed. Thank you, Major.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Major.
That. Yeah. Oh, Allie's on. Allie, Mitch's sister.
Yeah, I love
Allie,
her.
what's up? We want to get her on. She's a doula.
That would be so... Oh my gosh, I have so many questions for her.
Allie, it has to happen. We have to have you on. That would be really good.
I'm not really a children person, but
Okay.
It interests me a lot. Girls are birthing children, that's insane.
That is. I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Okay, so how long have I been licensed? For the 13 years or something like that, 12, 13 years. I did 10 years in the computer software industry. Do you remember that when I worked as a computer person? Yeah, I wish I didn't either.
Really? Was it that bad?
Well, it's so here's one. Here, we'll go out on this one. And then we'll go out on what are you supposed to do when you're being gaslit. That's a great question. So I did 10 years in a career that I didn't enjoy, but it's one of those things where you don't know what you don't know. So I just thought that's what you do. You go to a job that you don't really like and you just grind through it all day, and then you go home at night and then everything's great. But it really sucks the life out of you. And that's why I really feel like when we were talking earlier of advice to give my daughter, it is, honest to goodness, as cliched as it sounds, is to find the thing that you really, really want to do. And then other people will say, it's not a good idea. I don't know if you can make a living, says the person that isn't you, that doesn't know what it's like to be you. Mm-hmm. And that stuff drives me nuts. And I wish I would have figured that stuff out a long time ago. So I took psychology classes in college, and I don't even know if this is really something I made up in my mind, but somebody's saying that, it's hard to make a living. So I was like, oh, okay, then I won't do it. And then 10 years in a career I don't enjoy, and then I become a therapist, and it's been the greatest thing ever, which I just love. So so follow your passion, Sid.
Find what fulfills you.
Yeah, find what fulfills you. Exactly. Okay, and then what are you supposed to do when you know you're being gaslit?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
What are you supposed to do in your notes?
Yeah.
I don't know what I would do at this point. Just walk away and never
Hey,
come back.
No, this will be good
That's not a
because
good answer,
on my Waking Up to Narcissism podcast, I've got these 5 rules of, I even came up with a name, and this is how bad it is. It was using alliteration. Tony's 5 fabulous.
Well, I feel like, oh, sorry, I'm cutting you off.
No, you go.
But I feel
I'm
like
going to look it up.
Maybe this has to do with how much gaslighting has been like watered down through media and stuff, but you can't, in my experience, you can't really like tell a guy to their face that they're gaslighting you, or they will like literally shut down and
That's crazy. I'm kidding.
literally that's crazy. Yeah,
nice.
exactly.
Gaslight you right there.
I
But
think-
you're right, though. You can't. And okay,
Yeah.
that will play. Keep going.
No,
Keep going.
I have nothing else.
Okay, nothing else. Have 5 rules of interacting with emotionally immature narcissistic people. The first one is to raise your emotional baseline. We talked about that earlier. Self-care. Self-care is not selfish. If you are feeling, if life's just lifed all over you and you're feeling down, your emotional baseline is low. And when things are going well in your life, your emotional baseline raises, but all the stuff that's hitting you on a day-to-day basis is here. So you're going to respond different if you're here versus if you're down here. And that's where we talked last time about sometimes medication will help bump your baseline up enough to get to the tools. The tools might be medication or social connection or exercise or, whatever that looks like. So first rule is raise your emotional baseline. The second rule is, I always joke, get your PhD in gaslighting, just meaning understand what gaslighting is. So I'm glad we covered that tonight. I'm glad you wanted to cover that. The third thing I talk about is get out of unproductive conversations, because once you recognize what gaslighting is, then you start to recognize when you are being gaslit, the conversation is absolutely unproductive and it's a waste of your emotional calories to stay engaged in a conversation that is going to drive you absolutely crazy.
And that's the purpose of it at that point.
Yes, yes, yeah.
To
talk
get
about
a
that.
reaction out of you.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, what else could the purpose be? That person knows that what happened didn't happen. Like, how else would you react? It's a mess.
It really is. And so again, raise your emotional baseline, get your PhD in gaslighting, get out of unproductive conversations. The fourth one is that it is the set healthy boundaries. And we've been talking about this a lot lately, that a boundary versus an ultimatum. An ultimatum is you need to stop doing this. Well, that is a challenge to an emotionally immature or narcissistic person, because in that scenario, they're basically like, oh, I'll be doing that more. Boundary, remember we said boundary is a me thing. If you do this, I will leave. If you start yelling at me, I will exit. If you,
Oh, I think that, sorry, this is
Yeah.
totally off topic, but I think that when I would people please so much, I feel like that was because I had no boundaries for myself at all. Do you think maybe that's
Yeah,
connected?
talk about that.
I don't know, I just feel like boundaries are so important. I didn't even know what a boundary was till like a year ago, but like
My bad.
everyone needs boundaries, like with your friendships, like with literally like in our father-daughter relationship. I just feel like they're so important, and it's not for the other person, it's for yourself.
You. And that's
your own comfort.
Yes. So boundary versus ultimatum, like hammer that one home, right?
Yeah.
Because the ultimatum sounds like you're setting a boundary. You can't do this anymore. And then that's just like saying to your brain, don't think of a red polar bear. Don't think of a blue brain. I can't even think of things. It's late. It's been a full therapy day. But so if you're telling somebody an ultimatum, you can't do this, then they were like, I'll be doing that more. Thank you for the allowing me to see which buttons are important to you so I can push them. Boundary is if you do this, I do this. But then the last, I think this is going to say, what are you supposed to do when you know you're being gaslit? It's all these things, but the last thing, the final, of my 5 rules of
Tony's
gosh, I've got it somewhere. It was like 5.
What is an adjective for tea that's not weird? Tony's.
I can't remember what. I just did this in Waking Up to Narcissism episode 103 is where it is. And here it is. Here we go. My 5 foolproof formulas for navigating narcissistic nonsense. No wonder I forgot it.
Ooh, that was good. Did
you
you
like it?
ChatGPT that?
No, I didn't. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, you definitely did.
5 foolproof formulas for navigating narcissistic nonsense. I do like alliteration. But the last one is there's nothing you will say or do that will ever cause that person to have an aha moment or an epiphany. That has to happen on their own. And if they are not curious about your experience, like if you're telling somebody, I can't believe you don't know this thing, that's a them issue. That's their insecurity. That's their emotional immaturity. So then, but if they're curious, hey, tell me more about what you know about. That's maturity. So that 5th thing, you'll never cause them to have the aha moment or the epiphany. And so then when you put those 5 things together, self-care, raise your emotional baseline, get your PhD in gaslighting, get out of unproductive conversations, set healthy boundaries, and know that a boundary is going to be challenged, especially if you do it as an ultimatum. But that last one, you'll never give them the aha moment or the epiphany. That's what you need to be able to remove yourself from those emotionally immature relationships or gaslighting. But know that when you remove yourself, that's when the people will start to find whatever button they can push to try to get you to engage. Okay, no, I'm sorry. I'll never do it again. You know, that kind of thing. And then you're like, oh, well, they said they're sorry.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's even scarier because it's like the longer you're in a relationship with an abusive person, the more they know how to abuse specifically you and your brain
For
chemistry.
sure.
And that's really scary.
Well, that's the hardest part about a lot of the people that I work with that are trying to get out of unhealthy relationships. They just feel like, but now I know, and if I can just explain this one thing even better, now maybe that person will finally go, oh, okay. If they haven't at that point, they're not going to.
Yeah. I think that's important to like tell people that they can release that because that's probably like on their mind every second of the day if that's a person that you think really cares about you.
Yeah. Well, I think what's unfortunate and fascinating is we talk about the burning emotional calories, the time spent worrying, ruminating, or trying to manage somebody else's emotions. Those are all, in my opinion, they're not productive uses of your emotional calories or energy.
Of course it's not productive because you have absolutely no control over it, right?
Yeah. And then when people are in healthy relationships, you don't even know what you don't know, and you are just being and doing, and you are just you're experiencing the world, and you're coming back to a safe base with a partner that is curious and they are secure in their own self. So then they're not trying to tell you what you're supposed to think or feel or do. They're curious about what you think and how you feel and what did you do. And then you're having these shared experiences, and that is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it probably like feels good to some people to have control.
Yeah.
But like you don't, like the reality is no one has control over anything.
Right. We
And
have an
it's like
illusion of control. We
some-
want that illusion
yeah.
of control.
And people want to think that they do to make themselves feel safer, or like they can control the future outcomes of things. But the reality is like nobody has control over anything.
So that's where it's just good old acceptance.
Yeah.
We are here. That is happening. That's a thing. And then check that out. And then I'm just doing and being. Not so bad.
Doing and being.
Doing and being. Being and doing. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
9:55. Thanks for sticking around. This will be up on the Virtual Couch YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Go subscribe to things or all that. Yeah, do we post the lives anywhere? Yeah, we on my Virtual Couch YouTube channel. Just give it a Google.
Oh, and you know what I'm going to put up on your YouTube too?
What?
We did a podcast on Gypsy Rose.
Yeah.
That's huge right now.
Oh, yeah, we do.
And
Okay.
everyone thinks that Gypsy is like guilty and like not everyone, but I've just been seeing it so much, and I just want people to hear our podcast because I feel like she is so innocent in my opinion.
Sid and I did, we have a podcast called Murder on the Couch, which is awesome. And we did one on Gypsy Rose. Somebody said, when will we be live again? Do you know? We're trying to do a couple times a week.
Yeah, just when do you want to?
Maybe like Thursday or something?
Thursday?
What do you think?
I can do that. I'm not doing anything.
Okay. So right now, we're thinking Thursday night. We'll be back. And we will see you then. Thanks for all the amazing questions.
And hopefully we'll be able to get
Oh, did
Craig
bro?
on.
Here go much. Did bro just snort? Yes, I did.
Bro always snorts.
Bro always be. I always be snorting. Does she have ADHD? Yes, she does.
Can't you tell? I'm literally like
Logan,
playing
thank you.
with it.
#1 gifter badge. Proud of you, girl. Allie's a midwife, not a doula.
I don't know the difference.
Caitlin just
I bet
described.
it's really good.
Subscribed on YouTube. Where are we located? I'm gonna move there. That's really nice. Don't say a word though. Just kidding. Okay. Oh, Devin, we ran out of time. Devin, shoot me an email. contact@tonyoverbay.com, and we'll make sure we get this on the next one. And we'll talk more about boundaries and PTSD and all kinds of things Thursday night. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Have a wonderful night. I will spend the next 5 minutes trying to find the button here on the top. I think I got it this time. There we go.
Oh, he's a professional.
Yeah.